Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast,
where we never finish first because we finish last.
Do you hear that, folks?
How good does that sound?
DJ is out of the bathroom. How's it feel to be out of the bathroom that we've been locking you in for the last, we're almost not a year now, I think.
It's probably not as good as Mitch coming out of the closet, but it's still good coming out of the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean, it's a close second to Mitchell when he finally came out of the closet.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, that's not too bad, though.
It's pretty nice.
So, as you can hear, well, first of all, I'm Ben Morgan. That is DJ Primo. We are actually recording together in the same location because in the morning we are heading to Mankato, Minnesota for a little bit of Vikings training camp. You have any initial thoughts on how that's going to go?
Pissed. I might... The reason I wanted to play Bad Boys today is because I may or may not get kicked out of this training camp with my Aaron Rodgers stuff. I'm going all in.
I think we should kind of play it cool for a little while and just
we'll
see how it goes, and then we can maybe do a little bit more venting.
Yeah, we'll see.
But, so yeah, we're going to be leaving in the morning. On the way there, we're going to be doing some Twitter live videos. So if you have any Vikings questions, or if you're not following us on Twitter yet, check us out at Loaded Box. We're going to be putting some content on our page throughout the day, so that should be somewhat fun. I don't know. It's going to be an entertaining day.
It should be entertaining, so I would highly suggest making sure you watch our videos. If you don't catch them live, they'll stay on there so you can watch them later. We'll retweet them, pin them, whatever.
Yeah, they'll be up there. So, what did we do last time? Top-ranked running backs.
Yep.
And now we're moving on to wide receivers ranked 13 through 24, according to us anyways. And I know you had already told me right when we were going to start here that you're breaking it out. You're going 24, 23, 22 that way.
Yeah, I like to climax, work my way up and then just bust the load.
I mean, jeez, where do I even go with that one?
That's how we do it.
As he's sitting right next to me, he's saying that he likes to climax. And
but I stared him in the face.
Maybe this is why we didn't, maybe this is why our Viking situation is why it is.
It probably could be.
Okay, well then let's do it. 24. Who's your guy?
We're going off the bat. I'm going to go 24. This one was tough. This whole thing was tough. I like to kind of set up my whole rankings.
Yeah.
So doing the rankings was tough. I remember texting you saying, "This is going to be easy. I'm going to knock off 24 real quick. It's going to be really easy." I got Pat to 5, and then I'm like, I don't know what to do. There's a lot of good wide receivers, and it's hard to decide who you think is going to be better. And again, it's preference for me. I know everybody likes to look at the last year's stats. I'm going to beat this dead horse. But I like to just look at the situation that they're in more than anything. So let's go to number 24. I'm starting with a white guy. I'm going to go with Julian Edelman of the New England Patriots.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Because I noticed, and that's a little spoiler for your rankings, you don't have Jarvis Landry ranked in your top 24.
Nope.
You do have Edelman.
Yes.
Both of them play kind of a similar role for their team where they're the slot guy. Why do you like... I get Edelman plays with Brady. He plays in a higher scoring offense, but there's so many weapons on that Patriots team. They go everywhere. Landry is like the one constant with the Dolphins. Why do you take Edelman over Landry?
Because Brady and Edelman are just on the same page at all times to me. If there's one guy who's going to consistently be successful in that offense, it's going to be Julian Edelman. And Brady, the older he gets, the quicker... Gronk's just going to get injured. The quicker the older he gets, the quicker he gets the ball out of his hands, and the guy getting open the quickest is going to be Julian Edelman on his in-out choice routes, and they're always on the same pattern what they've been doing because they've been doing it for so long. Edelman may die on the field what's his name, Jamal Adams said he would be willing to do, but they're there together. Julian Edelman is always underdrafted, and people always overlook him. And I don't want to overlook him. I might even be rating him too low.
Let's talk about that real quick. Yeah. About Jamal Adams sitting right next to Roger Goodell and saying that he's willing to die on the field. That's the last thing a guy like Roger Goodell is going to want to hear. And he said it, and then I forgot who the other guy was that Morris Claiborne.
Yeah.
he said basically the same thing as well. So it's like, here's Goodell saying like, these players are healthy, they live longer, and then you've got literally an NFL player saying, "Oh, I'm willing to die," because it almost looks like that's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, it might happen, but
these things are happening. But yeah, if you didn't check that out, just YouTube or Google search. But it's pretty funny that Jamal Adams, a rookie for the Jets, talking about potential injuries and basically what can happen to you with the whole CTE thing that's happening. I don't think that you can deny that that's a thing.
I could go on with an argument against this. I mean, what do you mean that it's a thing? Obviously,
so
anybody
have,
can have CTE.
Okay, but they did like the 110 or 111 players,
don't
and
do this.
one of them didn't have CTE. The one of them that did was a punter or a kicker. I don't remember which. I think it might have been both.
You do realize that they sent all the 111 brains that were sent, all had symptoms dying. Like, so obviously, most likely, almost 100% were going to have it. So if you took everybody who died, so only from that study, I have to assume that the rest of the people who have died don't have CTE because their brains weren't sent. So if I'm taking 111 out of 1,000, that's like 20%.
Yeah, but
10%.
Okay, but you can't just automatically assume that these other people that didn't have their brain sent are just fine.
I have to if the study's going to try to portray it that everybody has.
Oh, I think everyone
CTE.
has it, man.
No, it doesn't. So I'll go on against that forever.
They say it's not
soccer, hockey, all these other sports get it, but yet they're attacking.
Okay, it's not the actual concussion.
It's the repeated collisions.
Offensive linemen, defensive linemen hitting each other in the head every single play.
Yeah, I mean, what about hockey? What about boxing? What about
hockey? Hockey has more big hits. I don't feel like as many
they constantly hit each other, and they're
boxing
less
is
gear than everybody else.
Boxing is the one.
What about UFC? I could argue about this forever. I've been arguing about this for the last 2 weeks with somebody. So
I think CTE is a huge thing, and I think these players I don't know. It's affecting.
It's not automatic. It's not you're gonna get a CTE because you played football. It's you can get CTE as a result of playing football. You can also get CTE as a result of being a terrible driver and getting 1,000 accidents.
Okay, well my commute to work just tripled. You know what? The odds of me dying in a car crash.
You know what? I stare at a screen all day, and I could get sicknesses from staring at a screen
your eyes
shortening
get worse.
my life. So yeah, I could have.
So it's a risk factor of playing. Is the risk worth the reward?
It has to be because these people are getting lives that they would never
you got
otherwise
Jamal
would have
Adams saying that he's willing to die on the field.
See, I'm already going too far into this. We only got one fucking player.
We got one player. Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
All right. I don't know about this. And other things I saw, Brandon Marshall ranked a lot higher. I can't buy that. And I know that our poll had a question about Brandon Marshall, but I had number 23 Brandon Marshall, and I'm iffy on him there.
Oh, I love Brandon Marshall. I have him at 21. I'll go more into him when I get to him.
I've got DeAndre Hopkins at 22. I can't sit here and think that he's going to have a season similar to last year just because of how good he is. I got to think whoever's throwing the ball is going to give him is going to be better than what Brock Osweiler was.
Right.
Give him more chance. Even give him. I mean, Brian Hoyer just gave him chances, and he just made plays. So I got to think whoever's there is giving him chances.
That's what I'll bring up because that was one of our biggest discrepancies. You had Hopkins at 22. I had Hopkins at 13.
Yeah.
I have him so high because I don't really care what his situation is at quarterback. Because if you look at 2015,
I care a little bit.
Okay, look at that stat that I wrote here: 111 catches, over 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns. That was with 4 quarterbacks: Brian Hoyer, Ryan Mallett, T.J. Yates, and Brandon Weeden. You don't think Savage and Watson can combine to do that?
Everybody would have said the same thing in 2000. I mean, that would have been everybody's argument last year, though, with Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, but I think Osweiler was so bad, and they were so reluctant to switch him. When Savage came in, Hopkins' stats actually were a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely, but I just can't rank him that high based on I still don't trust that offense. Don't think they're that good. They're going to rely still more on the run, I think, than the pass, and their defense keeping them in games. So they're going to keep it slow.
One thing I've learned from doing these podcasts is I have a lot more faith in the Houston Texans than you do, but I don't feel like I do.
They shouldn't.
But my players represent that.
If you're going to draft their defensive players, maybe, but yeah, no.
Okay, well that's a pretty big discrepancy for us with me having him at 13 and you have him 22.
Yeah.
But we can go on.
At 21, I have Terrell Pryor. Washington Redskins, new
Like him.
home. They're getting. I mean, they have no Deshaun Jackson, no Pierre Garçon. Terrell Pryor. I mean, he played well in a Browns offense. That
What did you say?
Terrell Pryor.
Hello, Pryor.
Terrell Pryor. Now you fucking me up. Terrell Pryor.
He's been drinking. We just don't have the
I
can
had, like,
sound today. We have
2
bottles.
sips. Played really well in a very bad offense. I mean, he was basically the best quarterback and wide receiver for the Browns
He was a
last year.
playmaker.
That's what he was, and he's just going to get better at wide receiver, and he's becoming the main option. He's going to be the main option there in Washington.
Yeah.
He could even vault up higher than that, but I don't trust Kirk Cousins, so I think most of the stats are going to go around. Most of the passing yards, touchdowns are probably going to go to Terrell Pryor, and then Jamison Crowder, but I'm still not going to jump on the Kirk Cousins train just because I have Terrell Pryor this high.
Yeah, I feel I'll jump into what I was going to say about Pryor right away because we're pretty close on him. You have him 21, I have him 19. I think Pryor's kind of one of those guys where you see receivers take a bit of a jump sometimes after a few years of actually playing the position. Think about this. He hardly ever played it even in college. Mm-hmm. So now, and he tried playing quarterback in the pros for a while.
Yeah.
Now that he's had a couple of seasons of playing receiver, there's a lot of talent there. And you had talked about Cousins' numbers, the millions of yards that he throws for, the lackluster kind of touchdowns. I think that Pryor can put up a ton of yards, and I wouldn't be surprised if he flirted with those 8 to 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think he has more chance of scoring more touchdowns than having a ton of yards, but I think it's probably going to be more. I'm kind of reneging on what I'm saying. I think it's going to be more Crowder getting the yards.
Easy.
And Pryor scoring the touchdowns. So I can see him more than 10 touchdowns, honestly.
Yeah. Let's go into your next guy here because I have a little bit of a discrepancy on
What do I have here? I've got Brandon Cooks coming in at number 20. What's your discrepancy?
Well, my discrepancy is I feel like, but you're a little bit higher on Edelman than I am.
Yep.
See, I have Cooks. We'll talk about this in one of our next podcasts. I actually have Cooks at number 11.
Yeah, that's too high.
I'm a lot higher, and what scares me a little bit about Cooks is the fact that the Patriots will go to any one player any week they want. They'll just pick on a matchup. Mm-hmm. So Cooks might not be like a super realistic, or a consistent, I should say, option week in and week out. Mm-hmm. But I think there's that potential there where his total points throughout the entire season are going to place him in that top 12 receivers just because he's going to have some weeks where he goes for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and I think if Davidson, I think historically you haven't seen these wide receivers come in and besides Randy Moss, these number one wide receiver types come in, and I know the Patriots obviously wanted him very badly, so they're going to try to include him, but you haven't seen these number one types come in and be extremely successful there, like as far as Chad Johnson, and I know they weren't great receivers necessarily, but you just don't see them have great outside receivers. Number two, I think what they're going to do with a guy like, what defenses should do, I believe, with a guy like Brandon Cooks is Tom Brady's not going to, you take a chance of having Tom Brady beat you deep. Right. They're going to jump on those short routes and make him throw it over the top to a guy like Brandon Cooks and make plays like that. I say take those chances, and you're going to have a better chance to beat the Patriots and Brady than if you're letting him pick you apart all over the middle and short routes and stuff like that, because that's where he kills people.
And if that ends up being the offensive philosophy, your rankings make sense.
Yeah.
Because then you have a guy like Edelman at 24 who is going to be that more consistent guy with those short passes. And if Cooks beats you over the top every once in a while, so be it. You have him in your middle of your wide receiver.
And the reason I put them so close and Julian Edelman only 4 spots below is because I honestly think I'm going to get better value out of Julian Edelman because I still think he's going to drop.
Yeah, I can get
than I
that.
do out of Cooks, and I think he could have better numbers still overall this year. So I'm putting him lower because Brandon Cooks has more talent. I'm putting Julian Edelman, but Brandon Cooks has. I'm putting Julian Edelman at 24 and Brandon Cooks ahead of him because Cooks has more talent and potential in that offense. But it worries me that he might not be as successful because of the type of wide receiver he is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just see the potential there. That's why I have him ranked as high as I do.
Yeah.
But
alrighty, I have Mr. I think this guy's maybe one of the more consistent wide receivers there is. Was that some muscle flex there, big guy?
Yeah, all the
one of the more consistent guys in the league, and Doug Baldwin. He's always kind of up there in that top 15-ish range. I don't know what he finished last year, but I mean, you got to have him up there.
Yeah, I'll go into Doug Baldwin a little bit more on the next one. Last year he finished at wide receiver 10.
Yeah, so he's consistently up there. I mean, the offensive line, I think the offensive line is so bad that they can't really run, so they are more, every year, more and more, it seems like Russell's throwing more often.
Yeah.
He's getting hit more often, he's fumbling more often. It's like his stats are being better, but if you watch him, he looks worse as well. So it's a weird thing, and I don't know, it's one of the weird things is watching Seattle's offense progress from what they were with Marshawn Lynch to what they are now.
Right. I have Doug Baldwin in our next podcast. I have him as a top 12 wide receiver.
Nice.
I don't want him as my number one wide receiver, though.
No, not at all.
Like, I've always been trying to get, like, a stud receiver.
Yeah.
So, like, I'd be more than happy with going receiver, and having Baldwin be my 2 guy. But, I don't know, I might have him unranked a little bit weird. But I think I have to have him there because of his consistency, where he does finish.
Michael Crabtree I have coming in at number 18. He's going to score touchdowns. Derek Carr has such... Him and Cooper are going to get better every year, but Carr trusts Crabtree. And he does have maybe the best hands in the NFL. The guy catches balls. That's what he does. And he's great in the red zone, so he's going to score his good amount of touchdowns. He's going to be a consistent touchdown scorer for you. Consistent third down threat for Cooper, for Carr. A guy that he's going to go through to and trust, a veteran that's been in the league for a while. So you got to think Crabtree's going to just continue to have a good seasons after that. What I'm scared of, the next guy, number 17, is Demaryius Thomas. I still don't know about this damn offense. I don't know what... Demaryius can be a top... With an average quarterback, any average quarterback, he could be a top 10 wide receiver easily.
Oh, easily.
But with the quarterbacks they have, he drops way down. He's not as... I'm not as excited about him as what I would be with Peyton Manning, because he was at least smart with using him. They know how to use him.
Right.
So
one of my things I wrote down here is where's the bubble screen? Remember when we talked about that?
Yeah, exactly. That's what worries
Thomas?
me. That's all they're going to sit on.
Because I have him ranked. So you have him 17. I have him ranked as my 24th. So the very bottom of my wide receiver 2s. Remember when we did our bust candidate episode? Yeah. He was my receiver. He was my potential bust receiver, but it's because of those quarterback questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was. I looked up his stats with Manning, and then towards the end of Manning's career when it was him and Osweiler, it was easy 1,100 yards, double-digit touchdowns every single time. There wasn't a question about it, but yeah, there's so much. I don't know. There's so many question marks with that quarterback now, and just what that offense really is. Are they a running offense? Are they a passing offense? Who is their running back?
And they're not. I don't know. Their running game is just not good enough to. It sucks for their defense.
It does.
Just period. For the Packers, it's the complete opposite thing is what Denver have. A great defense with an awful offense. It's tough.
Right. 16.
16, I've got Mr. Alshon Jeffrey. I didn't know where to put him, and I don't know why, but in my head I wanted to put him lower, but as I sat there and thought about him, when he's healthy and he's out there on the field, and the one game against the Packers that I remember him playing last year, he put up a bunch of yards at the end of the game and touchdown. He gets open. He's a big, good wide receiver. And I remember how much hype there was around him when he first came in, and he was really talented playing with Brandon Marshall, and it was exciting to get him on his own. But then he's had all these injury problems. If he's healthy, he can be really good, I think, in this offense. So I'm not sure he could be above. He probably might have one of the highest ceilings and lowest floors out of anybody in my top.
If he's healthy.
Top 20, if he's healthy, yeah.
Right. So I was going to wait to talk about him, but let's talk a little bit more about him right now, because that was our Twitter poll. It was which of the top NFC East wide receivers will finish with the most fantasy points between Alshon, Terrell Pryor, and Brandon Marshall. So I'm assuming you ended up going with Alshon?
I did. I picked Alshon.
So I'm right there with you, because if you look at my rankings, we'll get to him into a second, but I'm 19 Terrell Pryor, 20 Alshon Jeffrey, 21 Brandon Marshall. So I'm right there with all of them. I don't mind them all, but I think Alshon, like you mentioned, he's kind of that guy that's flying under the radar this year, and his only real bugaboo has been the injuries. He's done it when he's healthy. I looked it up. I thought he was older. He's only 27. The last 2 seasons where he played 16 full game seasons, those years he had over 1,400. The first time he had over 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns. The next year he had 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yep.
Those are wide receiver 1 numbers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have him right down here as a guy that I'm targeting. I'm all about trying to get Alshon Jeffrey. You have him at 16. I have him at 20. If he's about anywhere between that range, 16 to 20, I'm happy with him being on my fantasy team at that level. I like Alshon.
Yeah.
I took Pryor for the vote.
I agree. Actually, you know what?
Pryor
Now that I
won
think
the
about it,
vote.
I might have took. No, I did take. I lied. I got to renege twice.
Man.
I took Terrell Pryor.
Trouble.
Yeah. I took Terrell Pryor because of what I was talking about, because about the offense, him being basically the sole wide receiver there. Josh Doxson, you're probably not going to get much out of him basically in his first year in the offense, I would say. And then Jordan Reed, I just don't see him consistently staying on the field, so that leaves the targets coming, and they're not going to run the ball a lot.
Were
so
you
that
shocked?
Targets down to Pryor and Crowder.
How shocking was it, the fact that Brandon Marshall was so low?
Yeah,
Because
I thought that
Terrell
was
Pryor
unbelievable.
won the poll, and then it was Jeffrey not too far behind, but then Marshall had such a low percentage.
Yeah, personally, I don't have good feelings about Brandon Marshall, but I thought other people would love him with Odell in that offense. What makes me nervous is just Eli in general. So, I was surprised that he was. I mean, when I was looking at it, he was like 5% of the votes.
Yeah, it was tiny.
I was like, wow, like I thought people would vote him a lot higher. I thought there would be a lot more votes that I couldn't really necessarily argue with. He's still like a target. He's a monster. It's just what he is.
Right.
But he's getting older.
I'm giving a lot of my nuggets away with my rankings, but I think that's fine because it plays in. But so with Marshall, so the fact that it's the Giants, you talked about Odell Beckham, they're not going to run the ball.
Nope.
They're going to be passing the ball all over the place. So Odell Beckham, Brandon Marshall, Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, those are all guys that you're going to want to target just because of the sheer number of times they're going to pass.
Yeah.
This is the first time, to my recollection, maybe since early when he played with like Rod Smith, that Brandon Marshall won't be the center of attention on the offense.
Yeah.
That's going to free him up some more. He's just
Still
a
going to
year.
throw it to Odell, though. It's not like you're not going to throw
I agree with
shit
that.
ton to him.
He is 1 year removed from 109 catches, 1,500 yards, and 14 touchdowns.
That year was a fluke or something. I still don't believe in that year. That was Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's not a good quarterback. That was a weird year.
That's unbelievable, though.
I just don't. I don't know what happened there.
But it just shows like how quick things can change.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm high on Marshall. I'll talk about him a little bit more in a second here, but I don't know. It was a good poll. I was just a little bit surprised with the low numbers that came for him.
Yeah. What do I at? 15 now. We just talked about Alshon Jeffrey. I'm gonna stick on. I like Allen Robinson. I'm gonna probably target him in drafts. I've got Allen Robinson coming at 15. I think the fact that they've got Leonard Fournette now in that offense is gonna take some of the pressure off of Blake Bortles and give Allen Robinson more chances. Like I think Blake Bortles will not have to try to make reads, hopefully, this year, because it did work out so well last year.
Oh.
I don't know. I still like Blake Bortles. I still think he's a good quarterback, but I don't know. The more I
Doug
read...
Marrone saying he wishes he could just run the ball every time?
No, I did not see that.
One, did you know Doug Marrone's the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars?
No, I thought it was...
It's not Gus Bradley anymore.
No, it's Tom Coughlin
No, Doug Marrone.
of the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yeah.
Is Tom Coughlin the GM
Tom
or something?
Coughlin's got a red face.
Isn't Tom Coughlin something for the Jaguars?
Back in the day.
I'm really confused.
Well, regardless, he said that he wishes he could run the ball every play, and he said it as like a good thing about Leonard Fournette, but it's kind of like, is it more of a bad thing for Blake Bortles? He threw like 5 interceptions.
Yeah,
day
he
one
threw
of
5
practice.
interceptions, but I mean, give me a fucking break on that crap. I don't understand.
That's without like a pass rush. That's terrible, man.
But I don't know. I'm still not.
I'm done with Bortles.
I'm not done with
I'm going to
Bortles.
get into my Allen Robinson breakdown right away. I'm not going to really have much to say about my guys because I'm doing it now. I have Allen Robinson ranked at 14th.
Oh, Tom Coughlin's the executive vice president of football operations for the Jaguars.
Oh, good. So he can be the guy that fires Doug Marrone after this year.
Yeah.
Perfect. I have Robinson 14th. I assume I'm going to end up having him dropping in my rankings.
Oh man, I love him.
It's the fact that I'm warming up to so many others right after him.
He's so good though. He's like you can't ignore how
I
good
agree
he
that
is.
he's
and,
good
and it's
talent-wise. But I just say by the time draft time hits, he's going to be in the early 20s for me. He's going to be that mid to low end wide receiver 2 for me. I just can't put faith.
I see both him and DeAndre Hopkins bouncing back big time from the year for 4.
Well, I clearly have Hopkins high.
Yeah.
But
Number 14, I have Martavis Bryant. I mean, the guy was out for a year, but I've stated, and obviously this was before we had podcasts, so it's not on record, but I have stated in the past that I think Martavis Bryant can easily be a top 7 wide receiver
you love that
in the
guy.
league. He's just so athletic. Like, he's tall. He goes up and makes plays. He's fast. He's got so many
He's that Clemson
qualities.
wide receiver, man.
Yes, he got so many qualities in a
good
wide
ones.
receiver that I want as a wide receiver on my team. I honestly think he's potentially better than Antonio Brown.
Don't say it. I said
it.
I can't get over that.
I do. I honestly believe it. I'm a sizist, though. But that's the thing. I love Antonio Brown, though. I love his attitude. I love the way he plays. But I think Martavis Bryant can be better than Antonio Brown.
I see what you're getting at. It just sounds ridiculous when you think about it. Because
look
at how great
he's
Antonio
a freak.
Brown's
He is
been.
good, but
with like over 100 and however many catches.
He's a workout freak. He's basically
he
might as well. He's like one of those. He's like a black version of a white guy. I don't even know how to say it.
Black Tim Tebow.
He's like but he's like the workout warrior in the gym first, there at 4 a.m, coach's son, always working out. He's like. If I described him to just a normal person, they would think I was describing a white person. I guarantee it.
Man,
like that's what he's a freak. He has great work ethic.
I'll give you that because like you said, he's kind of that. He gets that white stereotype. He does all the little things well.
Yeah.
Great route runner. Great film guy.
Studies so hard.
Understands everything. Okay, you kind of sold me on that, but
Yeah.
I'm still not allowing Martavis Bryant to be mentioned in the same breath as Antonio Brown for probably ever. Like I can't get behind that.
Yeah, well, I honestly believe that. I think he's that talented.
All right, well, let's go to your.
And then
your
lastly,
last
at
one.
number 13, I have Michael Thomas of the New Orleans Saints. Man, I wish I would have wrote down some of the nuggets he had at the end of last season. I know he kind of went off there. I don't know if you have some of the notes on here
I
on
don't,
him.
because I have him as a top receiver.
Do you? And you as well should be. He is going to be the top wide receiver in that Saints offense, which is going to throw the ball a ton no matter who their running back is. Their quarterback is still Drew Brees. And just in general, I mean, another guy that's could surprise people on that team, Brandon Coleman, could have a great year. So
Yeah.
I mean, Willie Snead, they got a lot of options out there, but Brandon Coleman's also a big, tall guy that has another year in the offense that could score some touchdowns this year.
Yeah, I'm super high on Thomas as well. So you had him 13.
Yep.
I actually have him number 9, so I'm even higher on him.
Yep.
But I think it's that fact that I'm a little worried that it's hard to put too much stock into a guy after 1 year. I will give you that, and that's kind of the trap he goes into. But he's still the number 1 receiver on the Saints offense with Drew Brees, who's not really showing any signs of slowing down.
No, I mean, but the whole head bob thing and like trying to see over the fucking offensive line
That
throws
works.
me off. Drew Brees like he tries to you know what, if you put Mike Glennon's neck on Drew Brees,
body.
best quarterback in the league.
Maybe of all time.
Yeah, ever. You wouldn't have to look up so much, and he'd probably get the ball out just a little bit faster from not cucking his head.
Just his neck, though. You don't want his head.
Yeah, he just wants the neck. We just want the neck. The reation he probably gets the ball out just a second, half a second slower because he has to cock his head back like a fucking thug and then make a throw over that line.
Glennon's neck and one of his cheeks.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, let me get into my rankings. Like I said, I already talked about a lot of these guys, so I can kind of breeze through them. But I had Demaryius Thomas, 24. Jarvis Landry, 23. We talked a little bit about him when you were talking about Edelman.
Yeah, Jarvis Landry, the old Dolphin fan. Do you think that you have any bias towards Jarvis Landry?
No bias. I think he's a low-end wide receiver, too. I don't think that's an inappropriate ranking for a guy like Jarvis.
Where did he finish last year? I'm kind of interested.
Yeah, give me,
I know. I'm just dropping that out.
And this is
He's got to finish.
This is non-PPR.
16.
He finished 16th. So, I'm going to go back to what I always say about Landry, though, is he's the security blanket for Tannehill. He's always going to be that guy. He has low touchdowns, but if you look back, he got tackled inside the 5-yard line 3 or 4 times last year. So that's
he's not gritty.
Points.
He's got to get lower shoulder pads.
Not gritty. I don't want you.
He's got to get lower. His shoulder pads need to be lower.
Why don't you go ahead and look up the touchdown he had against the Rams,
I'm just
and then
saying,
the other one he had against the
stop
Bills,
being a
and
pussy.
another one he had against
Score. If you're going to get to the 5-yard line, might as well get in.
I'm done with you. He's falling out of bounds.
Hey, here's a question. Why? What does it feel like? I thought about this today. What does it feel like to know that the Miami Dolphins are basically the Milwaukee Bucks of the NFL? Like they're like just in this average spot that they're not going to get out of for a long time because they have Ryan Tannehill as a quarterback.
They've been in it forever.
Yeah, so they're just going to teeter on the playoffs, but not, and it doesn't really matter. It's like either be really good or just suck and get better, and the Dolphins are right in that stage that you don't want to be in.
I feel like there's so many teams that have a quarterback that's like the caliber of Tannehill.
Yeah.
And you can't, if you get rid of him right now.
It just sucks because you're stuck there, though. Like, you can't expect an AFC Championship game ever. I honestly don't believe you'll ever get to an AFC Championship with Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback.
Can we put it on the bold predictions board?
I don't know.
I don't know that it's
that's
bold.
That's going to be years.
What if I said that he does get to one? That would be the bold.
That'd be bold.
What he needs, you know what he really needs more than anything in the world?
God. He needs Aaron Rodgers to take over his body.
He needs Tom Brady to retire. That's exactly what he needs. That's the first and foremost thing, because Tom Brady's always going to be winning that division.
Yeah, but they only played them 2 games out of the freaking year, you know? You can win other games outside
Yeah, but
those
I'm just
2
saying
games.
that the Patriots just win the division, though.
Yeah.
So it just takes away from Tannehill.
You can still win games out of... It's not like they played the Patriots every single game.
Who goes into Foxborough, though, and wins in December and January?
I don't know. Me?
The Patriots do. They're the only team.
Yeah, Packers probably would if they would.
Yeah, right.
Tom Brady hasn't had success against Aaron Rodgers. So.
He's never had sex with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, well, he hasn't had success against him either. I'm just saying, it sucks to be you. That's all it is. You get all this. This is your irregular season, so it sucks.
Yeah, this is my Super Bowl.
And the other thing I
late
wanted
July,
to
early August, this is
point
my
out
Super Bowl.
is, and you didn't say anything, but did you notice I didn't have either Packer wide receiver up
Yeah.
in that 24 to 13 range?
We'll be talking about one of those guys because you have one of them ranked too
Go
high.
for it.
Number 22, Michael Crabtree. He was a top 12 receiver last year. I think this is the year where Amari Cooper finally takes over as the target leader on that team. But still super productive.
Yep.
The 2 seasons he's been in Oakland prior to this, he's had over 85 catches, over 900 yards, and at least 8 touchdowns in both those seasons. So, model of consistency, like you said, crazy good hands. Number 21, Brandon Marshall. Don't need to go in any further into that one. Gave you my nuggets on Alshon Jeffrey. He was my number 20. Gave you my nuggets on Terrell Pryor already. He's my number 19. 18, Martavis Bryant. So you had him at 14. I've got him at 18. Troubled history, worth the gamble. I can't
definitely
deny that. Tons of options on that offense. But behind, so you've got Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. He's the next guy.
Yeah.
And in an offense like that, where they get so many yards and score so many touchdowns, there's plenty of balls to go around to be the number 3 guy.
How many one-on-ones is Martavis Bryant going to get
Exactly.
this year? Jesus Christ.
Remember those stats that Mitchell Renz was throwing out to us when the games that they have played together? Martavis Bryant's stats were just off the chain.
He's going to kill guys one-on-one if they have to do that. That's just not going to be safe for anybody.
Right. Let's go into 17 because this is that guy you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
You have him ranked in your top 12.
I do.
I got Devontae Adams. And
I don't want to give away where I have him ranked, though. I think people are going to throw
That's totally fine.
Tivy.
I put 2 questions underneath him because I wanted to ask you. Are you worried about a possible regression for Adams and a bounce-back year for Cobb?
Absolutely not.
Why?
I
feel like that's how it works sometimes. Like,
No.
you don't always get a ton of touchdowns, especially in an offense like that. The next guy, the attention goes there.
Cobb's
Another
been
guy shoots in.
consistently, struggling the last 2 years in general. So he hasn't had great 2 years the last 2 years. He
that
called
injury?
a freaking Hail Mary. Not last year. That was 2 years ago he was injured.
Injury 2
with
years
that
ago,
shoulder.
yeah.
But this last year he wasn't injured at all. He's healthy. He just doesn't get open. He struggles to get open. I thought he was a better slot receiver than what he was.
I told you Percy Harvin was better than Randall Cobb.
But he struggles to he struggles to be more like Julian Edelman, honestly.
There you go.
Get open in the slot. So I don't see that at all. He's better. He's better when Rodgers is running around, what Rodgers does a lot. That's when you see Randall Cobb kind of pop up and do things, but he struggles to beat that man-to-man coverage where Adams was injured, and you can see the difference between 2 years ago and last year when he's completely healthy. And like I told Mitchell Renz, and I sent out just one quick GIF or GIF, however you want to say it, of Adams just murdering some people, and that wasn't even one of the ones I was talking about. There was, I think it was Trey Waynes or Xavier Rhodes, one of the 2 Vikings cornerbacks, or Terrence Newman, I don't know, there's 3 of them. One of those 3 guys, he's put in a spin cycle. I honestly don't. To me, there's 0 chance that he regresses. If anything, he has the same or better numbers. He's going to go over 1,000 yards. He might have a couple less touchdowns. So I think it's going to be around the same, if not a little bit better. But I've seen this story with the Packers a million times. I've said this before. It's going to be a change. It's a change in the guard. Jordy's getting older. Devontae's becoming the number 1 wide receiver for them.
Part of me not having Devontae any higher is just because, and I can't really put my finger on, I just feel like there's a couple of good candidates for receiver bounce back this year. You got Hopkins. You've got Allen Robinson. I sort of think just
and
because
they
of the
don't
fact
have
that
Aaron
score
Rodgers
so
as their
much,
quarterback.
But that's the thing, though. Cobb could be that guy. And I think if Cobb's
It's
numbers
not Cobb
go
that
up,
I'm worried about, that's
someone
for sure.
has to go down.
Yeah, it's not Cobb that I'm worried about.
My other question was, so last year they had Jared Cook, who did fine.
Yeah, he had a good year.
So this year they have Martellus Bennett, and then they added Lance Kendricks.
Yeah.
Having two tight ends
Fuck
that
Lance
are more...
Kendricks.
Oh, yeah, but they're more pass catchers.
Yeah, but
Having two guys like that, does that take anything away from a
I
receiver
think Richard
ranking?
Rodgers is going to see still more playing time than Lance Kendricks. Bennett may be a better tight end than Jared Cook, but I guess he can block. The guy can block, so he's going to fit really well as far as that go. I don't know. I know that him and Rodgers have already got along pretty well. I just don't know how he'll. I don't know if I like a tight end coming in their first year in that offense, because Rodgers is all about knowing a guy and liking to have him more than 1 year. So I think you would see, if Bennett is there next year, I think you're going to see way more progression from year 1 to year 2, because Rodgers is all about trust, and in the back of his mind, he probably wants to trust him, but he's going to trust guys like Nelson, Cobb, and Devontae more when it comes down to it, and Richard Rodgers even. He throws the ball to Richard Rodgers way too much, but he knows he's going to be there. Parallel might be there. I still love that guy. I don't know.
Yeah, he was my favorite. A guy I was surprised not to see in your rankings, I have him at 16. It's Sammy Watkins. Mm-hmm. I was looking at my rankings. Sammy Watkins has top 8 receiver talent.
Yep.
Once again, injuries prevent that. Outside of LaShawn McCoy, he's the only real proven option on that offense, like in terms of like actual fantasy contribution. Charles Clay did fine a little while for the Dolphins, but in terms of actual fantasy contribution, it's McCoy and it's Watkins. So he's going to get fed. I have him as that like mid wide receiver too, basically based on his potential.
Yep.
Huge upside, clearly. Like wide receiver 1 upside. Terrible floor due to injuries. That's why I can't have many higher than 16. I put it right on here. I'm going to avoid him.
I'm not.
I have this. So my over-under on games that he'll be listed questionable is 6.5.
He's healthy going into camp, which is like the first time ever.
Until he's not.
No, but he's actually healthy going into camp. That's what it is. His foot is finally healthy. That's the biggest problem, and he's played with it. And when he does play with it, he's been successful. So what can he do without it? And I will talk about Sammy Watkins. I promise you that.
Okay.
Just won't be tonight.
So he's coming up. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Keenan Allen is my number 15.
That's a good one.
So everyone always talks about his stats as they project out if it wasn't for injury. My response to that...
Freak injuries, dude.
My response to that, though, is projections don't win you fantasy leagues. Like, he's always like, oh, he was on pace for 90 catches, 1,200 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Well, when's he going to hit that? He's never on the field for it.
Freak injuries, though.
I agree, and I like Allen, but I was doing a little bit more research on this earlier as well. If Mike Williams isn't going to end up playing this year, I'd be happy with average draft position wise.
Everybody's been saying this.
Tyrell Williams.
Yep, that's what everybody's been saying.
So the thing is, Keenan Allen's average draft position right now is middle of the 4th. Tyrell Williams right now is mid to late 9th. It was 15 days ago. Tyrell Williams' average draft position was in the 14th round.
Yeah. It's
jumped
up
that high.
I listened to a podcast recently where they were just talking about that and how high it's going to jump. Actually, I think it was I was just listening to Mitchell Renz.
His podcast.
And he was talking about it, and he was saying he's going to
Probably.
the 14, and I could see him jumping up at least 3 rounds.
Yeah.
If this ends up being true.
And he has. So maybe you're not getting quite as good value there, especially like in the 9th, but I don't know. Williams in like the 10th, I almost would rather have than Keenan Allen in the 4th.
Yeah.
It's tough, though, because I agree with you. The potential is there with Keenan Allen. He is a great receiver.
I don't like to assume a guy's
but
going to get injured. That's most of my stuff. Like, I'll assume
earlier
guys...
I asked you about Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah,
the first thing got to your mind.
Rob Gronkowski and Jordan Reed, I'm fine with predicting those guys because it's just different type of injuries. But with, like, injuries, like, a reoccurring spleen is not going to be, like, ruptured multiple times and stuff like that. And it's just... freak injuries that I can't believe happened to a guy.
He'll end up with CTE this season.
Yeah, maybe.
Number 14, Allen Robinson. Talked about him there. I have him. I have him at 14th now, but I think at the end of the day, by draft day, he's going to be in the 20s for me.
Yeah.
And then the guy that I'm super high on right now, just as a bounce back, was DeAndre Hopkins. I already talked about his stats with those 4 garbage touchdowns, but
a guy who has the same quarterback for the last 3 years and a guy who keeps switching, having different quarterbacks that he's not getting on the same page with. I just can't believe that.
But you're always like
And I'm referring to Allen Robinson.
okay, but you're always talking about
Mom, the meatloaf.
Oh, fuck.
Shit. Sorry, I heard my mom yelling in the background.
You're always talking about DeAndre Hopkins even last year it was like, oh, he's like a top 5-7 receiver. So doesn't that his talent alone and the fact that he did produce with such shit at quarterback beforehand elevate him at all in your eyes?
I just felt like him and Allen Robinson went through the same fucking slump at the same time, but I like the potential of Allen Robinson with the same quarterback than DeAndre Hopkins with new fucking quarterbacks every year.
All right, I'm high on Hopkins. I think we talk about great route runners.
Yeah,
He is
I love
there. You talk
DeAndre
about
Hopkins.
contested catches. He's there.
I don't
Some
even
of the
know
best
if they
hands in
both
the
had like
league.
Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. I don't know who I would have higher.
Between Hopkins and Robinson.
Yeah,
I'd go Hopkins.
I don't know. I don't know. I think they're
I
they're
like
both great
Robinson.
route runners. I think
Yeah.
Allen Robinson is so successful because of how hard and how good he is at running routes as well. So they're almost on the same level as. I think they are almost the same fucking wide receiver, in my opinion. They both make dynamic plays. They both
do.
I mean, they can do all the same things. They're this to me. I don't see a difference between the two.
Hopkins is, I don't know. I think of Hopkins, I just think of this crazy ass.
It's just because Allen Robinson busted out of the scene out of nowhere on 1 year, and everybody's like, "Holy shit, where'd this fucking guy come from?"
Yeah. Well, that's our rankings 13 through 24. We do have time for a listener question, just as an FYI. We're taking football, drunken dilemma, relationship questions, advice, whatever you may have. I know we gave some pretty good stuff about, what did we even talk about last time?
Penises.
When you're 30 years
When you're
old,
30
how
and
you need to pee a lot more.
Meat and dog cat
What
shit,
DJ would be doing to prevent an Aaron Rodgers broken leg.
Yep.
So throw them out there. We have one this week. Will Christian McCaffrey end the white running back stigma and dominate fantasy as a white running back?
No, because he's going to end up as a white wide receiver. That's my opinion on that.
That's very similar to what I was going to say. I think he'll do really good in Carolina, but I don't think he's erasing the stigma. He's not going to get enough carries. So
Yeah, that's exactly. I think he's going to play wide receiver. He's playing in the slot.
Turning into receiver. He's not going to get quite enough carries to be viewed as that typical running back. He's going to be used more of like the Danny Woodhead, but he's going to get more carries than Danny Woodhead.
Yeah, well, not this year.
Well, I still think he will.
Oh man, Danny Woodhead is the running back now.
Yeah, he is, but just historically, he just doesn't get as many carries.
Yeah.
And Danny Woodhead never really erased that stigma. So I don't think
No,
we
not
can
at all.
rely
He
on
did
Christian
exactly what you would
McCaffrey
expect
to.
a right running back to do.
Yeah, so that's where I fall on that one, I guess.
The other thing I was going to say about shit, I already blanked on it. No, never mind. Fuck it. I just had something good and I ruined it.
Well, thanks for listening. As always, tweet any questions you'd like answered on the podcast on Twitter @LoadedBox. Check us out on Facebook, like and share the page. And we are available on iTunes by searching Loaded Box. Subscribe,
Rewind.
rate, and review. And here comes DJ for the
So the thing
recap.
that I love about, I have this on record of me saying Christian McCaffrey weeks ago is going to end up being a slot wide receiver. And going into camp, the one thing that they reported is that he's playing slot wide receiver over Curtis Samuel in their offense.
Yeah, he's like,
BAM!
He's starting at wide receiver right away.
Yeah.
And no one can cover him or anything.
Loved it.
Yeah, you were on that.
Yeah.
You said that.
I'm hoping I'm right. I mean, it's still training camp, but I hope that I like hearing that report, and that's my prediction.
You should put that on the predictions page.
I got to put that on the
'cause
predictions page.
That is noted. So listen back to some old podcasts for some predictions that DJ had that might be coming true now. So, well, thanks again for listening. Tune in if you're listening to this already right away, right when we post it. Check us out tomorrow, which is Wednesday, August 2nd. We'll be at Vikings training camp.
Lots of content.
Should be some good stuff. So hit us up on Twitter. We'll catch you later.
Bye.